Hi guys, and welcome to my Total War Warhammer 3 review. So yes, I am back with a video game related review on a game and game series I've been talking about on my channel every now and then for the past year or so. And yes, it's a game I was very much highly anticipating for the last year. A game I was very much looking forward to. A game series I've become a very big fan of the last year. Yes, Total War Warhammer 3. Well, because I've been playing the previous one and Mortal Empires for the last year. Become such a huge fan. And yes, Total War Warhammer 3 has been out for nearly 2 weeks. I've played several campaigns. I've finished one the other day. A few others I haven't. But yeah, so I feel like after about I think 50, 60 hours, I think I've put into it. Maybe more, maybe less. I think give or take. I haven't quite checked the hours. I wanted to give off my my review. Total War Warhammer 3. So yes, I've become a very big fan of this game, of this franchise. Well, I played Medieval 2 Total War many years ago, but obviously I recently got back into the Total War games thanks to Warhammer, and I became such a big fan. I played a lot of Mortal Empires, with the Warhammer 1 and 2 races. I've done so many campaigns. And yes, I was really highly anticipating Warhammer 3, with introducing like the eastern part of the world and the Chaos Realms, the 4 different Chaos factions, Cathay, Kislev, the Ogres. I was like, oh, this is going to be great, this is going to be great. And yes, so let's get started with it. I'm going to give you all my pros so far of my experience of Total War Warhammer 3 so far. Don't forget, this is the game at launch. It only came out a few weeks ago. I'm sure within the next few years, I mentioned this, it's going to become a much bigger game, a much better game in the coming years. Just like Warhammer 1 and 2, where at launch they were a bit shaky, but then they got really good after like a few years with some DLCs. So yeah. So Warhammer 3, of course, is the third and final game in Creative Assemblies and collaboration with Games Workshop. For Total War Warhammer. So yes, really looking forward to this game. And at launch it was great because of course we have 8 factions to begin with at this game. It's the most of any launch from previous, because Total War Warhammer 1 and 2 only had 4 launch factions to begin with, but then they got more added. But with Warhammer 3 we have 8. So yes, and this game, if we know the plot from now, most people have played it by now. The plot basically is it's actually a prequel set before the events of Warhammer 1 and 2. And basically, the Kislev god Urson has been captured by the first demon prince, Be'lakor. And he's dying, his roar's been heard, and it's shattered all the realms of chaos. Like there's chaos rifts opening all over the world. And all these 8 different factions have got to go into the realms of chaos, claim these 4 demon souls, and go and get Be'lakor for their own purposes. We'll go defeat Be'lakor and rescue Urson, or rescue Urson, or just get Urson for their own captives. The Urson, the god bear of Kislev. So, and each factions want Urson for their own means. Kislev, of course, want to rescue him because it's their god. Cathay want to use Urson's help to find a long lost dragon or sister. The Ogres just want to eat Urson. And the 4 ruinous powers, of course, the 4 chaos factions, the factions that represent Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Khorne, Nurgle, all want for their own nefarious means. So it's kind of similar to the Eye of the Vortex campaign from Warhammer 2. Where they want the Vortex, and some factions want to use the Vortex for good, some factions want to use it for evil. It's very similar to the Eye of the Vortex campaign from Warhammer 2. So yeah, 8 factions at launch, which is great. I said all 8 factions feel very unique. They feel very different. So we have 2 human factions who fight for good, the Ogres, and then the 4 pure evil chaos factions that will represent each of the 4 different chaos gods. So it's fantastic. So much variety and so many different unique factions to begin with, which I think is fantastic. So yeah. I think the Chaos Realms, how they've introduced them is interesting, because obviously in the campaign you go to each of the 4 Chaos Realms of the 4 different Chaos Gods to get the demon souls, because the campaign advisor will help you get in to the realms of chaos, get the souls, so he can, the Tome of Fates, he'll be 1 drop of Urson's blood and he's free, and then he can go and he's free of the Tome of Fates, and then the faction can get Urson and do whatever they want with him, really. So yeah, but it is a prequel. Like I said, it's set before the events of Warhammer 1 and 2, which is interesting. And yeah, I think the narrative is somewhat interesting because you get more backstory with Be'lakor, with each of the demon souls. You find out his journey and how he was betrayed by the Chaos Gods and now he wants revenge. He thinks by killing or taking Ursun's soul, he himself will become a god, Be'lakor, and you've got to stop him before he kills Ursun finally for good. And I like it. I thought, and there's a very good prologue which serves which serves as kind of like a tutorial if you've never played the first two. But I thought the prologue was really good. You know, it gets you you play as a Kislev prince getting reintroduced to the faction mechanics and all that and how the campaign works. But you play as this Kislev prince who gets betrayed at the very end. He starts succumbing to chaos and he becomes a demon prince, and that becomes a faction with chaos undivided and the demons of chaos. You can play as him in the campaign, but obviously turned into a chaos demon, or the demon prince, which you can customize and name. So I thought it was a really good prologue. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the Chaos Realm battles. They are really fun. Like, some of the realms look amazing, especially in battle. Especially with Tzeentch's realm with all the stars and magic. You've got Nurgle's realm with all the rotten green and pus everywhere. It's disgusting. You've got Khorne's realm with just lava and fire and brimstone. It's horrible. Just an absolute desolate wasteland. Then you've got Slaaneish's realm with all the temptations and all the pink and all the lust and desire. You know, Slaanesh personally is probably my favourite of the four ruinous powers, but the other three are still really cool. Yeah, the Chaos Realm battles are really cool. Obviously, there's a massive battle at the end of each of the four Chaos Realms to get the demon souls, the demon prince's soul. And it's cool, although I will say the Realms of Chaos campaign, it's far from perfect, and I will get onto my negatives about the Realm of Chaos campaign in my negatives, because there's a few things which kind of drag it down, drag the fun factor down for me personally, but I think a lot of other people have said what they don't like about the Chaos Realm campaign so far, so yeah. I like how they have reworked the sieges in this game. They feel there's a bit more to them, because I was never a big fan of the sieges in Total Warhammer 1 and 2, the previous ones. I really did enjoy how they've reworked the sieges a little bit. Like, there's like a tower defense option where you can build towers, you can build barriers to stop people getting in, and battles can feel a lot more drawn out, a lot more fleshed out, and a lot more important and difficult than maybe they were a bit of a clusterfuck in previous Warhammer games. But I feel they feel a lot better here. There's still a few things I'm not a huge fan of, which I'll get to the negative, but I think on the whole I did like the kind of tower defense aspect of settlement and siege battles when you're defending or attacking. It does feel more fun with, like I said, with the towers and the barriers, and you can set them up wherever you want. It makes the battles feel bigger and more drawn out. So I liked how they've reworked the sieges. That's good. On the campaign, they've added a few new things. The diplomacy's been reworked a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked, but a little bit. They've added a few things in from like the Troy Total War, I think, or was it Three Kingdoms, where you can there's like alliance outposts. So if you make like a military or defensive alliance with another faction, you can build outposts in your settlement, and then you can recruit their units, which I thought was really cool. So like, I was doing a Kislev campaign, and you can, if an Empire army gets an alliance with you, and they build an outpost, you can recruit Empire units in a Kislev army. I thought that's really cool, because that kind of fits in with Kislev and the alliance working together to repel chaos. Same with Cathay, they could recruit, you could recruit other Cathayan Lords' armies, but a bit more advanced in stages. And Chaos factions too, like some Norscan factions, if they have an alliance with you, you can get Norscan factions or Chaos, Warriors of Chaos units in your Chaos armies too, which was really cool. Like I said, all the factions I think are really cool. Like, they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. Like I said, this is at launch, so they do have quite small, minimal rosters, but we do know in a few years' time we're going to have multiple new units, multiple legendary lords and new factions, because we all know how big Warhammer 2 got and Warhammer 1 got, with all the new factions and all the DLC lords and all the packs within like the coming years. And it'll be the same with Warhammer 3. So it does have like a small, condensed start. Like, well, the factions do feel a bit small compared to what the rosters of Warhammer 2 and 1, but that's because they've had multiple years of developments. So I think, but the factions do still feel strong. I don't think there's really a weak faction. I'd say I think Nurgle probably feels the weakest, because I think they're struggling. They're quite slow. They're quite plodding. They don't have a great economy on the campaign, and a lot of their armies don't have good artillery, so they kind of just get they kind of get bled slowly by most factions. Like I said, my main campaigns I've done so far, I've done a campaign with the Ogres, I've done a campaign with Cathay, Kislev, and Slaanesh. So I've done 4 campaigns so far. The one I've enjoyed the most probably is probably Kislev, which was surprising. I didn't think Kislev would be my favourite, but I really enjoyed Kislev's campaign. I thought the way they had to go about things was really cool. Like they're really stoic, honourable warriors, the defenders of Kislev, defending against chaos, the bulwark against the chaos armies, obviously defending the empire in the south. And I really like Kislev. Cathay was really cool too, although I do think they need a little bit of work with the great bastion mechanics a bit weak, and harmony's a bit of a pain in the arse. But I do think Cathay have a very strong army up in the far east of the map, and hopefully they get a lot more attention in future DLCs. But I thought Cathay was great. I love the Ogres, they're so much fun. The Ogres are really fun. The campaign I've finished was the Kislev campaign, because I felt that's the best narrative campaign, because it ties in with the Kislev Prince and Be'lakor, them getting revenge on Be'lakor and rescuing Urson. And Katerin's a good legendary lord. Same with, I think there really is a weak point. And Slaanesh, really like Slaanesh too. I think they feel really unique. So I've only done 1 Chaos faction so far. I need to go back and do a Khorne, Tzeentch, and maybe even a Nurgle campaign. So there's 3 more factions. Oh, of course, and Chaos Demons. So I've still got 4 other Chaos factions to try out. But I really did enjoy Slaanesh too, because you feel so dirty playing as them, because they're such a horrible faction. But they're like seductive, and you manipulate all the factions, and they're very dirty, and it's just yeah. But I really did enjoy playing as Slaanesh too. All the factions I've played are so far great, but my main 2 probably favourites have been Kislev and the Ogres. They're probably my 2 favourites at the minute. The Ogres are just so much fun, especially playing as Greaser Skulltooth in the Mountains of Morn. The soundtrack, I think the soundtrack's really cool. They've incorporated the elements of old soundtracks, but they've added their own twinge to it with the different faction musics. I think Kislev personally have the best music, and like like campaign music. I think Kislev's is the best. It's really good. Like that when you're on the campaign, you feel so badass. But I think all the factions have cool music. The Ogres is good. Cathay's is like cool, because like obviously ancient Chinese music, kind of medieval China. It's like what Cathay's based on. It's cool, obviously with Miao Ying and Xiao Ming, the dragons. And the maps are beautiful. I love the new maps, like I said, with Cathay, their whole regions, the Mountains of Morn. You've got the Chaos Waste, you've got the Darklands, you've got, of course, the core for the map is just Warhammer 1 with Kislev expanded, and of course the Empire, who are in the game as well. And some of the dwarves and some factions from Warhammer 1, like dwarves and vampires. So yeah, that's on my positive so far. I love it. I think it's really good, but there are a few things which have disappointed me a little bit about Warhammer 3 personally when looking back on it now. Even though I know this is at launch. So I'm going to start off with my negatives now. So my first negative with Total Warhammer 3 at the minute is the Realms of Chaos campaign is a bit. It's not great, is it? Because the game, what you want to do in Warhammer, you always want to expand, don't you? You want to expand your empire, become a big empire on the map, paint the map with your faction's colours. That's what you want to do. But the problem is, you can't really do that in Warhammer 3, not to a massive extent, because every 30 or so turns, the rifts open, when you can enter these rifts and then go into the Realms of Chaos and race with the other factions to go and get your demon prince soul from one of the 4 realms of chaos, to go and get your demon soul, and then that's 1 down, 3 to go, etc. And then that's what you do throughout the whole campaign, these rifts. But these rifts, if you don't deal with them quick enough, if you don't shut them, they open all over the map and in your territories, and if you don't deal with them quick enough, they spread chaos corruption, which is a pain in the arse. Demon armies or chaos armies can spawn out and just start attacking your settlements, and so if you don't have enough armies scattered around, if you're spread thin, those rifts become a real pain in the arse, especially late game. Especially my Kislev and Cathay campaigns. Oh, they became such a pain in the arse to deal with. And then when you're in the Realms of Chaos, your legendary lord takes attrition, he takes chaos damage, he gets corrupted, and it's just not fun after a while. It gets a bit monotonous, it gets a bit boring, and when it gets a bit, you're doing the same thing over and over again, and then it's just a bit, ugh. So by the time I was like in my second or third realm, I was just kind of like, well, let's just kind of get this done. But then a few times I couldn't do it because the other faction got there before me. So it felt like a whole waste of time. So it's very frustrating, and I'm not alone. A lot of players have vented their frustration at the Realm of Chaos campaign. Like it's a bit of a pain in the arse. Like they could have done a few extra things here and there, and it's just frustrating. It prohibits you expanding and becoming a big empire on the map because you're constantly being forced to go in the realms of chaos and get your demon souls. And if you don't, well, you can ignore it, but then you just lose the campaign because then you've got to fight a final battle to stop the other faction from fighting Be'lakor, because obviously you have a big final battle against Be'lakor to go and get Urson. Obviously you unlock which I've only done with Kislev. It was a really difficult battle, by the way. Make sure you've got a good army for the final battle with Be'lakor, because it's tough, very tough. Even though I did unlock some very good units for my Kislev campaign. So yeah, it's just a bit of a pain in the arse. The portals are a pain, it gets repetitive, and it's just hard to expand, and that's not really fun. So it does make replayability with the other factions a bit of a hindrance, because when I finished my Kislev campaign, what did I do? I think I've gone started a new Ogre campaign. I've done like 4 campaigns where I just did beat bang boom all at once simultaneously, but I did one after another. Like I'll go to this faction, then that faction, then this faction. But with Warhammer, not Warhammer, it makes it less and less fun when you're having fun, and then the advisor goes, "The Tome of Fates has been awoken." You're like, oh great, and then you've got to go and do the realms again. Go into the realms and get the rifts, and it's just not fun after a while. It became a bit of a hindrance. So I think, hopefully, well, when Immortal Empires 2 comes out, we can all look forward to that. Also, every settlement fight now is in a settlement, which is cool. I will say, like I said, in my positives, the reworked siege mechanics is cool, like with the tower defense mechanics, okay. But a lot of battles I ended up auto-resolving because every settlement battle now is either a small settlement battle, and it just becomes a bit of a slog when you've got like a big army and you're going up against like an army with 3 or 4 units. And I like to fight all my battles, but then when you're fighting an army with just 4 or 5 units, but then you've still got to infiltrate the settlement, get past all the tower defences, it becomes a huge slog, and you end up losing a lot of units. Like, I remember the Warhammer Mortal Empires and Warhammer 2 and 1. A small settlement battles was just outside the settlement on like a big field, and it's just you against the other army. Boom, you clash. I preferred that, and then the big settlements, yeah, fine, are sieges. I wish they'd kept that, because every battle now is for a settlement. A settlement battle is for a settlement, and so a lot of battles I ended up just clicking auto-resolve because I couldn't be arsed going through a big 10-20 minute slog fighting this small army in a settlement. So I just kept clicking auto-resolve, and I don't like auto-resolving unless it's like a slog of a battle. Especially big sieges became a bit of a slog, which is for me personally, I wasn't a huge fan of that. So there's going to be no more battles in front of settlements. Like, because I remember in Warhammer 1, when I was fighting for Castle Drakenhof as the Empire, fought the vampire counts. Yeah, they marched out and attacked me, and we had this big open battlefield, and you could see Castle Drakenhof in the distance. That's gone now. So you've got to fight them in the settlements, which I'm not a big fan of personally. So, if that's what's going to be like continuing for Mortal Empires, well, the big Mortal Empires 2, then. And like I said, diplomacy still feels a bit half-arsed. They had several years to make this game. They delayed the game by like 6 months, didn't they? And diplomacy still feels like they could have done more. Let me just make an example. It's still fine. Like the outposts, I like the ally missions and all that. That's cool. Fair enough. But some mechanics in the diplomacy don't feel that good, personally. I don't like. It just feels like, let me just mention, so say if you're playing as Cathay, so Miao Ying, you're talking, and then you open it with Xiao Ming, and he goes, "Welcome to Cathay," and you're like, "I'm your sister. Why are you saying welcome to Cathay?" And then if he gets in a bad temperament, he goes, "Begone, trespasser! These are our lands." You're like, "I'm your sister." Couldn't they just put in that diplomatic more effort with like faction specific conversation with the same factions. It just feels a little lazy. This was a problem with Warhammer 1 and 2, and I thought they would have fixed this. It's like, I'm your sister. We're on the same side. And then same with like, say, Kislev. Like, you can open another. You're the Queen Catherine. You open up another diplomacy with another Kislev faction, and then they go, welcome to Kislev. What do you mean, welcome to Kislev? I'm the Queen. It's going, like, just what happened to, well, my glacial majesty, how may I serve you today? Just, they could have put something in like that. If you get what I mean, it just, like, they could have, I feel like I'm waffling on there, but it just feels a bit disappointing. And like I said, the game does have that launch feel. Like, it feels like, you know, the factions are quite, some patches, and like I said, there's been some bugs, some glitches, which I do think need fixing. I've had a few crashes, hard crashes, which is, you know, come on guys. You've had an extra 6 months to make this game. The game should not be in a buggy launch. I shouldn't have a buggy launch, really. Whatever. Some of the textures look a bit rough on some of the units. Like, it looks a little bit blurry in some of the battles, personally. So yeah, hopefully they can fix that with a few patches in the coming weeks and months. Like I said, the game does have that launch feel, but that's fine. So did Warhammer 1 and 2, and we know how big those games got. And like I said, going back into the positives, the game, looking forward, it's going to be great. Chaos Dwarves are certainly going to be the first big expansion race, like the first big DLC race. We're going to get Chaos Dwarves in probably the next few months. I'm very much looking forward to the Chaos Dwarves. The Dowies are the evil version of the regular dwarves from Warhammer 1. We're probably going to get Hobgoblins in the future, maybe Dogs of War, Nagash, Neferata, Boris Todbringer. I think he's going to get his own DLC soon, and hopefully maybe Ind, Nippon, and Koresh. That'll be cool too in the coming years. And obviously, all the current factions will get new legendary lords. I'm sure we're going to get more dragons, more of the other dragon siblings with Cathay. I'm sure we're going to get more ogre tyrants, more lords for Kislev, and I'm sure we're going to get more chaos legendary lords too for the 4 different chaos factions. So yeah, guys, on the most part, like I said, I've really enjoyed it. I just think there's a few things here and there, like the Chaos Realm campaign's a bit, it feels a bit half-baked, the diplomacy sometimes. There's a few things here and there, but on the whole, I still have really enjoyed Warhammer 3, and I'm still going to keep playing it until they release, of course, the mega Immortal Empires, or Mortal Empires 2, in probably maybe later on this year or next year, where we're going to get all 3 games on one massive map. That's going to be great, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do there. Yeah, when we get all 3 games on one big map, I think that's going to be amazing. So, I'm going to see what that's like, guys. So, yeah. But on the whole, I'm really enjoying Warhammer 3 so far. Like I said, all 8 factions feel unique, feel good. Some better than others. Like I said, I'm not a massive Nurgle. Hopefully they get a bit of a patch, because I can Nurgle. Little bit disappointed with Cathay. They're still good, but I think, like I said, the harmony mechanic is a bit of a pain in the arse, and they kind of just feel like the high elf Chinese version of the Empire. But I felt they could have felt like something entirely new and different. But like I said, I'm sure they're going to get new units, new legendary lords in the coming months. But Kislev are great. Love Kislev, just a really hard Russian version of the Empire. I've loved my Slaanesh campaign so far. The ogres are just a complete breath of fresh air. The ogres are so much fun. They kick so much arse. And like I said, I haven't done a Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle campaign yet. That'll be one of my next 3 campaigns. And then obviously, I look forward to the Chaos Dwarves in the coming months. We're going to get some teasers for the Chaos Dwarves. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. I'll give, right now, my score for Total Warhammer 3. I think 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. It should have been a 9 or maybe a 9.5, but I think until but the Chaos Realm campaign is a bit, like I said, a bit repetitive and a bit stops you from expanding, so down a little bit, but the how unique all 8 factions feel. The Chaos Realm battles are really fun. The narrative's interesting. I like the sieges for the most part. The Alliance outposts are cool. The soundtrack's great, and it's great. There's just a few little things here and there pulling it down, but I'm sure they're going to get patched. They're going to get fixed. We're going to get new factions, new units, new legendary lords, and of course, Mortal Empires, the new Immortal Empires 2 or Mortal Empires 2. Next year is going to be amazing. The ultimate sandbox experience without worrying about the bloody Realms of Chaos campaign. You know, you can play as Cathay and just expand the entire map without having to worry about going to the Realms of Chaos, thank God. And like I said, narrative-wise, it is a prequel, which is interesting because the campaign advisor, well, spoilers, well, you know, you find out why he looks different, because obviously in Warhammer 1 and 2, when he's the advisor, he's blind, and he's got, well, Sethariel, the Everwatcher, as like a white raven. You find out how, where, and why that happens, and why he's suddenly, you know, why he looks, obviously he's a bit different in this one, because this is set before Warhammer 1 and 2, this campaign. So thank you all for watching, guys. What is your favourite faction so far? Who's your favourite legendary lord? And what race are you looking forward to playing as most in the mega Immortal Empires? My favourite factions are probably still, you know, High Elves, Skaven, Beastmen, and Dwarves are my favourite four. My favourite faction from Warhammer 3, like I said, probably is Kislev and Ogres so far. But like I said, Cathay is still good, Slanesh is still good, and I'm sure the other ones, people saying Khorne are a lot of fun, so I might try Khorne next, then Nurgle and Tzeentch. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Comment below, let me know on your thoughts of Total War Warhammer 3. And I will see you all very, very soon. Bye, guys.